Well, good morning. Day 2 of my adventure in Essex, and I'm currently at Alresford Creek and I'm in search of an old boathouse. Good, found it. So, similar problem to yesterday really. Got quite flat light, overcast cloud, quite high up cloud as well, but it does have texture, so that is quite good. So I'm going to get set up. I'm going to try and get some kind of composition with this old boat house, and we'll see what we can come up with. Got some long grass down here, so I might use that just to camouflage the dirtiness of the beach and the seaweed and the muck that's right on the shoreline. And maybe make the most of what texture there is in the sky. Yeah, let's see what we can come up with. Okay, so let me show you what I think I've got. I've positioned the camera on the tripod fairly low down, as close as I can to the grass in front, but I'm not using the grass blades immediately in front of the camera, and even if they do appear, I'm not too worried about them being in focus, and they're actually kind of blowing around a little bit in the wind anyway. But what I've done is I've used the blades of grass further up, just over here, just to camouflage and disguise the dirty beach. So I'm kind of hiding the bottom half of the bottom foot or so of the boathouse. And I've positioned the camera the height of it so that I see the horizon, and the horizon isn't cut off by one of the horizontal beams on the actual boathouse. So I've kind of carefully positioned all the elements in the frame just to try and make the most of it and not have any overlapping horizons and bits of wood on the house. The other thing that I've also done is I'm shooting vertically in a 4x3, and I'm getting the edge of this tree in, so I'm kind of using the edge of this tree as a frame. I suppose there's an argument to say that it might not be balanced, but if that's on the right hand side of the frame and the boathouse is kind of like the focal point on the bottom left, I think it works. So I'll try this shot, and then I might try an alternative landscape format shot of this in a minute. So I've tried a landscape format from that position, and it just doesn't work because to get the boathouse in the right position, you get too many trees in this side, and the left hand side is just empty. So the picture is completely out of balance. So I've come around to this side, and I'm going to try shooting from this direction and do a bit of a long exposure. So just to smooth out the water. So I'm going to kind of maybe do, I don't know, something like that. We'll have a play around, but I need to be a little bit careful because the background is very, very busy. So there's loads of boats and bits and pieces off in the background. So for this particular shot, I want to keep this fairly minimalist. So I'm going to try and capture something like that. Don't know if I'm going to shoot landscape or vertical, possibly landscape, but we'll have a go. So wondering it's still standing actually. Look, you can, all the wood has completely rotted away, and that back leg there, there's nothing left of it in the middle, and that second one is, there's not much left of that either. So lovely old bits of texture and rusty corrugated metal. Good subject. Okay, so I've taken this shot as a long exposure in landscape format. I think it works. It may need a little bit of work and processing in Photoshop. I might take out the horizon and blend the sky into it, but either way, I think it looks quite good with as a long exposure. The tide seems to be coming in now. It's come in about 2 feet in the last 5 minutes. So I think what I'm going to do is go back round to where I took the initial shot and see if I can just adjust the composition slightly and try and make the foreground completely disappear under the water. I might hang around for a little bit to see if the tide comes in a bit further. Well, despite fighting to get down quite an overgrown path and stung by nettles and prodded by thorns, I think that was definitely a worthwhile walk down there to find that boathouse. I think I've got a couple of good pictures, so hopefully with a bit of work in post I might have something half decent. So if it's any good, I'll put the picture up for you now to see. I think that's probably the best shot I could come up with at the end there. The tide is in, I think, as far as it's going to come in. So with regard to long exposures using the water, I think my choice was a little bit limited. It seems to be the wrong kind of tide at the moment here. There's not an awful lot of variation in the height of the tide, so that's what we got. Okay, I'm at my next location now. Might be my last of the day, I'm not sure yet. There is a bit of rain forecast, but the sky's looking quite nice at the moment. Bit of blue sky. Anyway, I'm over at this location and I'll spin you around and show you what I'm looking at. So it's we're kind of on the outskirts of Malden and we've got a field that I can't actually get into. There's an electric fence around it, but there's a quite a large number of old kind of dead trees and just the remains of old dead trees. So I'm just concentrating on these two here at the moment and just kind of getting the way they kind of interact with each other, just making sure they don't overlap, and just having a little play with this scene here. Okay, it's looking good so far. What am I shooting? 250th at f11 ISO 100, and I've got the 24 to 105 on, shooting at about 65 millimeters. I've kind of set up a square composition. I quite like that at the moment. And just as it was down at Orsford Creek, it's quite breezy. So I think what I'm going to do is put on the 10 stopper, the big stopper, and just try and capture a bit of movement in the sky and also get the movement in the grasses in the foreground. I think that would be quite nice. I quite like that effect. So I think I'm going to do that and try and get that intentional movement in the grasses leading up to the dead trees. Okay, so I've got the closest tree on the right hand side and the slightly further away tree on the left. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk down the footpath and swap them over to see if that makes any difference. I could probably get them a little bit closer maybe. I'm just looking at the background as well. So let's move down a little bit. I've got to be careful at the same time that I'm not letting the trees overlap. So here I've just got a branch that's just covering the rearmost tree. So back a little bit. yeah, I can't really do that because there's a bush literally right in front of me, just here, that's going to be getting in the way. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to go down to the other end of the pathway down here and just see if I can transfer those trees so that the nearest one is on the left. So let's try that. I think these two trees kind of work together better here, but the background is a lot clumsier. So I'll take this shot anyway and I'll have a look at them on the computer, but there may be a bit of Photoshop removal. Really need thick fog to make this work so that naturally it will hide the background. But I might kind of turn this into a bit of an artistic image and actually remove some of the background trees. I don't have a problem with that. I know many people do, but each to their own. Good. That image that I took a minute ago with where the sun came out and side lit the trees, that's actually really good looking at the preview on the back of the camera, because it gives that element of separation from the trees and the grasses in the background. So I've tried shooting at f4 as well, but at this focal length it's not really going to make too much difference. I'm not going to throw the background way out of focus. So but that side light, that did kind of give separation from the background. So we'll get that into the computer. I'll do some processing and I'll show you the shot right now. Well, I think that's it for my 2-day adventure to Essex. I've done a couple of good locations today. Conditions have not been the best, but the pictures will probably end up being mostly black and white, I would think. But who knows? You'll have already seen the results. I need to get back home and do a bit of Lightroom and Photoshop work. But just as I've got back to the van and starting to head home, the heavens have opened. So that's definitely it for this 2-day adventure. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed it, give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you on the next adventure. Take care. Bye for now.